Happy New Year, everybody! Boy, 2015 was a weird year for movies. Now, in case you haven't seen my previous best and worst lists, which have mostly been in written form, I normally don't do a top 10 list. Mostly because I have a hard time ranking movies on any kind of top 10 scale, be they the best or the worst or the most interesting or the most of this or least of that or what have you. So, rather than present you with the top 10, I'm just going to present you with the one film that is the absolute worst and the one film that is the absolute best. So, let's kick things off with the absolute worst film of 2015. But before that, here are some dishonorable mentions. If you're wondering why I didn't include 50 Shades of Grey in that list, it's because I still haven't seen it. And I kinda refuse to see it. And the award for absolute worst movie of 2015 goes to... Oh dear God. Oh dear God. I'll be honest, when I was deciding what movie to declare the worst of 2015, I had a hard time choosing between this and Pixels. And both are just insulting to moviegoers, movie buffs, and to people as a whole. But in the end, this one got to take home the grand prize of worst movie of the year, mainly because of the one thing that made it a different kind of worse from Pixels. See, Pixels is an awful movie, but we all knew that it was going to be an awful movie. Simply because of this one production company and this one man, there was no question in anyone's mind that this movie was going to be completely horrible. But with Fanforstic, and yes, I'm calling it that, I refuse to call it what they want me to call it, this movie was just horrible for all of the wrong reasons. This film could have been done right. It could have been great. It could have been amazing. It could have been a brand new step for Fox's superhero licenses. And instead, they just messed it up again. It's one of those rare cases in movies where everything about it was just wrong. The writing was wrong. The director was wrong. The casting was wrong. The studio interference was wrong. And worst of all, the reason it was made in the first place was wrong. The only reason Fox put up any money for this movie in the first place was simply because they refused to sell the rights of the Fantastic Four back to Marvel. They don't even care about this licensed property. It's just in their catalog because they're superheroes and superheroes are making money right now. And while that is still the worst aspect of this movie, what's more annoying to me is the way it chose to handle its production. They brought in a new director who had actually delivered a fairly good movie before, and at first they let him do his own thing. They were going to let him do with the Fantastic Four what he wanted to do. And while his ideas may not have been the greatest, it still might have been somewhat interesting. But then the studio said, wait, you know what? We lied. We want you to do what we want you to do. And so Fox came back into the studio. They interrupted everything. They messed everything up. They threw the director out. They tried to make a movie that was already going in one direction, completely changed directions to better fit what Fox wanted. And the result? Nothing about this movie is good. The characters are horrible. The writing is dull. The direction is bland and lifeless. The cinematography is overly dark and has no reason to be so. The special effects are stupidly out of date. The abomination they claim to be Dr. Doom has no purpose in this movie whatsoever. And it is just so boring. And Fox, I know you're in so much denial on how awful this movie is that you're trying to get a sequel to go forward, but we're just not going to see it. You've already disappointed us with Fantastic Four 4 times. There is no way you can save yourselves from this debacle. Do us all a favor and give the Fantastic Four back to Marvel and stop wasting our time. Okay, now that that's said and done, let's finish things off with the best film of 2015. But first, some honorable mentions. award for Best Movie of 2015 goes to... I feel so much better right now. This film does everything right in my book. It is a fantastic film that I feel like has been sort of overlooked. Because really, this is the kind of movie that we need to see more of. It's the kind of movie that I want to make for a living. And it's the kind of movie that everyone needs to see and everyone will definitely enjoy in one way or another. For one thing, it tackles a certain political issue that I myself am very passionate about, and it does so in a way that is not dumb or preachy. It utilizes everyone's talent perfectly. It tells a very cohesive and fluid story. It addresses all the different aspects of this particular issue, and it does so in a way that progresses the story and develops the characters. The cinematography is simple but still very stylized. The direction is beautifully fluid, and Lily Tomlin is still one of the funniest women on the planet. I tip my hat to all of you who were involved in the making of this movie, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have next in store for us. And I do genuinely hope that I have the opportunity to work with some of you folks in the future. It truly would be a tremendous honor. Ladies and gentlemen, I am The Norm. Thanks for watching, and have a happy 2016.